Hi writers! Welcome to today's flash draft. So I was thinking about the work we've been doing, especially yesterday when we were really thinking about how we can make our writing better. And hopefully your stories look a little like this, where you actually went in and thought about how can I really make my stories sound like the books that we read all the time, by using that checklist. So a couple of things I said is, yesterday I told you guys I want to set up my story with a strong lead, kind of setting up the problem and setting up the setting and really getting that story out there right from the beginning. And then I was reading a little further and I realized that I needed to add some more descriptions about the setting, and then I also need to add a few more of my own thoughts of what I was thinking. And then I was thinking about my ending and how I kind of want my ending to sound the way Goosebumps did, where she kept saying, I remember when my mom would tell me to pack a snack and I didn't and I got hungry. And so I kind of want it to be something like that. So the reason why I'm telling you all of this is because today we're going to be working not in our notebook, but we're going to go outside of our notebook. And we're going to start drafting our stories outside of the notebook. And when I think about all the things that we've worked on so far in this unit, I think about how in our notebook we have these ideas that started off kind of small, and now with all the things that we've been working on, we should be able to build upon what we've been working on. So when we're flash drafting, it's really important that we think about and we actually put ourselves back in that moment and start drafting in a way that we're making a mental movie in our mind, and start drafting in a way that makes that story come to life. So today, guys, we're going to work on drafting by keeping the mental movie in our mind and drafting in a way that keeps that story fresh in our mind, even if we have to do some thinking and remembering about what exactly happened. So there are a couple of rules that I want you guys to think about when we're drafting. So the first thing is that you're working the entire time and you're working silently. So what might that look like? Well, you might just be writing, you might be writing and thinking, you might be writing and going, okay, so then what happened next? Oh, wait a minute. I said this, and write that. So that you're really working and thinking about that story, making that movie in your head so that you can share that story that you want to present to all of us. Another thing is that you're listening to your story. You're listening to your story that really resonates with you. So my story about Julia isn't really about the sea urchin on her, sting on her leg and the blood and, all the drama. Yeah, that's exciting and it's all of that. But it's really about that moment where, she's getting older, but realizing that she still needs me, still needs her mom, still needs her mom to help her when things get scary. So that's really what I'm thinking that my story is about. We'll talk about that more tomorrow as well. And that you replay your story. So when you go to write from your notebook to your drafting paper, that you kind of almost close your eyes for a minute and you put yourself back there and you start writing, thinking about that moment, remembering that you're the narrator and it's your story, and putting yourself there. And that you continue to think about all the different things we've been working on, right? Being the narrator, putting yourself in the story, having some action and dialogue, and all those things that we've been working on is in your draft. As much as you can remember, put it in there. And then as you're going along, you can also edit. You know where you put periods, right? You know where you put periods. You know that capital letters begin sentences. So just remembering that as you're drafting. And then really important, and this is a part that I think a lot of us skip, is that when we think we're done, that we actually reread our story again. Because writers don't just write their story and then never read it. They read it and they reread it and they reread it. And you're going to hear that a lot from me. You're going to not want to read your story over and over and over again, but I think it's a really important part of writing because it's the part that really helps you think about and reflect upon what you've done. So those are some norms that I want you to keep in mind. And so now what I want you to do is I want you to think about, now I'm going to show you, this is me thinking about my story and remembering what I wrote about for my goals that I want to set myself. And I'm just going to sort of like recreate the moment in my mind and sort of think about how. Okay, so I got to put myself back there because this happened a couple years ago. And let's see. We were really excited to be at the beach. Okay, so I looked out onto the blue ocean. The sun was shining. It was a cloudless day. The beach was perfect. And we noticed that in the distance from where we were some rocks that sort of broke apart. It sort of made this like little cove. So I'm going to put all of that into my story. And then as I keep going, I'm gonna keep going like with what I noticed. I noticed that Julia was waving at me, signaling me, "Come, Mom, come." You know, that's what it seemed like to me. And I'm just gonna keep going in my story, writing and writing, keeping in mind that I'm really trying to pay attention to what's important. Even the small things, you know, like maybe I brushed the hair from my face as I got out of the water. You know, I sighed, or I took a deep breath in before I spoke because I didn't want Julia to know I was afraid too. All of those things I'm going to be thinking about today. So you can do your draft on loose leaf if you want. Another way that you could do your draft is if you go into Google, let me show you how to do this, and you click on Documents, you can make a new Google document for yourself, and you'll see this page comes up for you. You can click on the blank document, and you can just start typing in your story right here. So you have that option. You can also write it on loose leaf and take a picture of your draft once you're finished and upload that to the Google Classroom, or you can type it in here. One point I really want to point out to you is this where it says untitled document. Make sure you put a title there. It doesn't have to be the final title for your story, but just so that you know when you need to find the document where it is. So writers, I can't wait to read your stories. Keep in mind that this is a draft. It's not our published piece. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it needs to really show the story that you want to tell and share with us the things that you want your readers to hear and get out of your story. And I'm looking forward to reading all of your stories and hearing the things that you want to say. Okay, writers. Happy writing. Bye-bye.